Guys, special thanks to Thunder Games. Thunder Games creates games that integrate Bitcoin and process payments via the Lightning Network. They have numerous different games and run their own node. If you wish to connect, their public key is available over at Thunder, THNDR.games/. And a link to their Telegram is also over there. Thunder Games are making mobile games which enable players to win Bitcoin for free and use the Lightning Network to send prizes. Pretty cool to see what they're doing over there. They're available in the Google Play Store and iOS. Check them out, thunder.games. The Bob Shop, the most diverse blockchain and crypto clothing store on the web. They have it all: privacy coins, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Emcee Exchange, Mimblewimble, hoodies, hats, shoes, tees, Epic Cash gear. Go over there to support the Bob Shop and get your cryptocurrency gear. bobcrypto.co. Zen Sports is a peer-to-peer decentralized application built on the Icon blockchain that enables players to set their own games, lines, and more using blockchain technology and cryptocurrencies. It's pretty sweet. You can get in there and you match up with somebody else that's interested in another game, and that's how you set the action. Players can get in and out of games with fiat or crypto and enjoy gambling from the comfort of their own homes with smaller fees than decentralized legacy bookmakers or casinos. They also have their own token called the Sport Token. Visit zensports.com and check them out, and make sure to gamble responsibly and ensure gambling on their app is legal in your jurisdiction. Trios is an economy and ecosystem. Trios is a direct reference to decentralized money that will empower a new economy. In the future, the term Trios will become synonymous with cryptocurrency and virtual financial assets, VFAs. Their payment methods, their ecosystem, and their general use as both a utility and a store of value. Today, however, Trios introduces itself incrementally using proof of concept stages and coordinated multi-directional implementations through the financial sector, both online and offline. Check out trios.io. Charon Coins, you found the brick-and-mortar financial institution where you can safely trade dollars for Bitcoin, USD to BTC. Over-the-counter OTC and peer-to-peer, person-to-person. They facilitate transactions of all sizes, including high-volume transactions. Their headquarters is located in Milwaukee, servicing the MKE areas of Lakefront, East Side, River West, and all of Waukesha County. More than being just an OTC location, they are here to educate you about Bitcoin, wallets, blockchain, cryptocurrency, security, and platforms. If you're in the Milwaukee area, you can also use their Bitcoin ATM with more locations soon to come. Visit charoncoins.com. That's CHARON coins.com. Bitcoin SOV, Bitcoin Store of Value, is an emerging community-driven project that is a decentralized team the world over. It is a proof-of-work mineable ERC-20 that has a deflationary design with token burns to ensure your value is stored over time. Check out their site at bsov.io. Lucio Paletti, digital artist and self-described propagandist known for his iconic Bitcoin artworks, is available at Lucio Paletti. That's LuchoPoletti.com. And that Andy Warhol came from Lucio that I love so much. Pittsburgh guy, Andy Warhol. Flashcoin. Flash is a reinvention of Litecoin built to scale for worldwide commerce and fast enough to handle everyday transactions. The flexible and easy to integrate core code allows exchanges and wallets to add Flash to their platform within hours. With a settlement time of around 5 seconds and consensus within 2 minutes, anyone, anywhere can use Flash mobile wallet as easily as cash or credit card. Visit flashcoin.io. And always remember to do your own research. Bryer.io is not responsible for any of your financial actions. Take no one else's word. Always invest in your human capital and your financial sovereignty. Back again, another episode of the Vires and Numeris Podcast, episode 25. Today with Eugene Romanenko, a student of the Austrian School of Economics and sound money proponent, blockchain enthusiast, interviewer, events MC. He's done a ton more crypto MC events than anyone I know around the world. Key opinion leader. He's also the co-host of the Transatlantic Crypto Podcast, a show him and I do with once or twice a month, which I truly enjoy. And he's also a very good friend of mine. You can find his work if you're interested in checking that out during this podcast at cryptomc.com. Welcome to the show today, sir.
Thank you very much, man. It's great to be on your show, on your first time on your personal show, and how we'll find and show the difference between the Vires Numeris Podcast and our Transatlantic Crypto Podcast. And I'm very enjoying what is going to be the next couple of minutes. So let's start to talk.
Absolutely. Let's get straight into it. I want to know, you and I have been friends for 2 or 3 years at least now, I think. I don't know exactly everything about your background, though, like your youth and stuff like that. You and I haven't had a ton of conversations like that. We always talk Austrian economics and things. So where did you grow up?
Well, thank you for the question. My history starts in Soviet Union in the last 17. I was the typical Soviet boy, born in good family with good education. My marks in school and university were only 5s. That's the excellent mark. I was one of the 2 guys in the university, one of the 2 guys from 80 or 90 guys from our flow who had only 5, only excellent marks in their diploma, so-called red diploma. So my way of entering life was typical way of good school boy, good boy of good parents. Then 90s came, Soviet Union crashed in 1991. Was interesting. Capitalism came on our area. This time I was living in Belarus. We had moved already on Belarus. My father was the Soviet military builder, constructor. He was serving on the Soviet military forces and used to build military objects such as rocket missiles, laughing bases, and so on and so forth. And where he was building, it was, the colonel. His position was the colonel. He was the top manager in Soviet militaries. Right. And when he built objects, when we lived. So we moved a lot on the former Soviet Union, and I had changed up to 5 or even 6 schools during my life. Then we came to Belarus, where I'm right now. Then I entered university. I loved chemistry in my youth, and I entered to the chemistry area. But there was a popular economics field of study. When Soviet Union crashed, a huge amount of wishing of needs to be an economist and lawyers arose, and all the students were dreaming of to be an economist or to be a lawyer. And I came on the economist stage, conducting concerning the chemistry background. That's such details. Then I finished my university in 2000. I had realized that although I was studying economics, I do not understand how economics work. First of all, I was angry, then I was evil, then I admitted and realized that I need to re-educate myself. That's why I came to Austrian Economics. I tried to find an answer on a simple question. What is fiat dollar? What is government? How this stock market works? Why it is devaluates and inflates and so on and so forth? A simple question I can answer with my so-called economic background, my economic degree. It was a fascinating story. Then I came to Austrian Economics. It's a funny thing. First of all, I met Austrian Economics in 1997 at the third grade of third course, like called in Russia, and university. I was hearing about Menger and Böhm-Bawerk from one of my teachers in course of economical history thoughts. That's why I met Austrian Economics again in perhaps 2011. I met Rothbard. I met, by books, of course, Rothbard, Mises, Hayek, and I had read all the books of Austrian Economics I found in Russian languages. It's a very good thing that the majority of the main books are translated on the Russian. Then when Russian books had ended, I switched to English books. I realized that a lot of English books are on Mises.org website, for example. That's how my journey started in Austrian Economics. That's my background. Then in 2017, I came to the crypto space by the time I had already been the podcaster and interviewer on the Russian segment of YouTube. When I had realized that crypto or Bitcoin may return the sound money to humanity, I said, wow, I should be in that area, not just only exploring and observing, but to help the change. Because I'm Austrian, I really do understand well how fiat money system works. I really understand well how government works, and I may bring my knowledge to the crypto community. You know, in majority, they are not understanding economics. They are talking about crypto only. I have a huge background, which lets me to seriously enter this background and find myself.
Well, let me cut you off real quick because you just ran down like 4 or 5 of my questions. Like you didn't even know they were there, but you were just knocking them out. Okay. So let me get a little more information before we get into Bitcoin. That was a great explanation, and I'm happy to learn more about your past. So do you have a favorite Austrian school economist? And is there a particular – you even jumped my Russian language, whether you read the books in Russian or English. I think you probably read the majority in English now, it sounds like. Is that true?
Definitely the major books of Mises, like Human Action or Major Book for Robert Hack, I had read in Russian because they had been at the time in Russian. I didn't reread them in English because there are a lot of books and I need to read more new books than to read in English. But maybe somewhere in the future I will try to do it.
Right.
So that's the answer. Of course, I have read all the renowned Austrian economists: Menger, Baumgartner, Mrs. Hayek, Rothbard, Kirchner, Huerta de Soto, Pavel Lusanov, my good friend from St. Petersburg, the first launcher of the Austrian school, modern Austrian school in Russia, and so on and so forth. So all the economists are in my head.
It is very interesting that you had a professor in Belarus. This was in Belarus, right? That actually mentioned the Austrian school, because I never heard about the Austrian school until I stumbled upon it myself. So that's interesting that at least they mentioned it there. A lot of places they don't even mention the Austrians. They're kind of like cast aside. There's too much truth. They don't want you to really understand money. I think that you and I probably agree on that there's really a culture around academia that if you understand the Austrian school, that you're probably a limited government or an anti-statist like you and I, an anarcho-capitalist. And, those people in government rely on the state to fund them, and they have to keep this lie going. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, truly. The situation with economic knowledge is quite similar all around the world. When we learned Austrian economics, we talked a lot with Russian professors working in United States and Mises Institute and so on and so forth. And they told us about the situation in the United States, the mainstream economics. And I definitely realized that the problem of economic education is quite the same everywhere. Everywhere in every university all over the world, they are teaching us mainstream economics, Keynesianism, Marxism, classical, and so on and so forth. That's crap, which only overloads our mind with trash. And I even invented the term. I recleaned or reloaded my mind, cleaned all the economic mainstream trash when I siphoned or sucked from university studies and replaced it with clean economic bios. Or
I like the way you said that. It's true though, because today in 2020 we were recording this July 12th, 2020. It's more and more, I think, over time, these sort of communist professors and stuff have infiltrated the education system, and they just pump this stuff into people's brains, and Definitely. People really don't understand economics at all. So,
and I think that the situation in the United States currently is quite more worse than in other, because right. we know what socialism is, how it works, and what disaster catastrophe it brings. And you Americans, you don't know that because you had a capitalism, and your events now, they are showing us a very dangerous way that part of your population is coming on the socialist way, and it's quite dangerous. We cannot be falsified. We are so experienced guy with our past, and we need to try out how capitalism works. We need to clear it. And most of American guys, it's a pity they don't know what's the truth, and they're coming on a disastrous to dangerous way, I think.
They use I love the way you just mentioned that. You have seen this firsthand, and they use this idea of equality propaganda to get these systems in place, and it has nothing to do with equality. It has everything to do with power and growing the state. So for somebody that's seen it, the majority of your life, I think you just hit the nail on the head. We as Americans, we don't, a lot of, and you grow up in these public schools, you go to public institutions your whole life, you have no idea that you've been indoctrinated to the degree that you are. And like you said, it's interesting that the balance of these ideas have shifted to the United States, but in somewhere like Belarus and the former Soviet Union, Russia and places like that, they're understanding more about economic freedom, and it's kind of going the other way here.
Definitely. So I repeat the main thesis. The situation in economic education is quite the same everywhere. And that's give us the hope when people around, why we may talk about these problems with you, the guy from the United States. Mm-hmm. I've never even imagined that I would discuss Austrian economics with guys from the United States, because the problem we're mentioning are the same. The left indoctrination, mainstream indoctrination, so on and so forth, attacking on economic freedom values. That's why Austrian economics, which will be celebrating 150 years in the next year, 2021, since the first book of Karl Menger, The Principles of Economics in 1871, been published. That's a good idea. I think Austrian economics had appeared too early in this world, too early, and just only now it's being recognized, and it's being being used by the vast majority of the people, and of course by crypto people, because they are the most, not influable, but the audience which needs to understand how money works, because they are using the main technology which lets us to have soft money, Bitcoin.
Absolutely. A lot of it has to do with just nature and common sense in the Austrian school. And
common sense.
Exactly. In the state, and these professors that carry the state water want to reduce common sense and kind of, just wash it away. So it's important that people like you and I try to do these shows, I think, and just get these ideas out there, because like you said, these ideas aren't new ideas, but they explain really how the world works. So let's get into Bitcoin now. What year did you find Bitcoin? Do you remember the year? And what was that moment like? Was it an immediate, did you read the white paper and you were like, wow, this is it. This is private money. This is decentralization. This is how we change the world. Or did it take you a while to come to the idea?
That's a very good question. And I do remember well my first introduction with Bitcoin was in the end of perhaps 2012 or 2014. My good friend and the man we are thinking, my friend, he's living in St. Petersburg. His name is Pavel Lusanov. He's the most renowned modern Austrian economist in St. Petersburg. He talked about Bitcoin in the end of one of the lectures, which was in December of the Hayek Institute we're participating in. He talked, in the end, he said, in the end of lecture, we will be talking about the Bitcoin. The first time in my life I heard this word, I didn't even mention or pay any attention. Bitcoin, what is Bitcoin? I don't understand. There are quite more interesting books and economists. So that's the first introduction. Of course, I didn't anything with this word, heard and forgotten. Mm-hmm. Then in 2017, when I had already been the just quite renowned podcaster and interviewer on the internet, there was an ICO hype. Of course, every crypto enthusiast remembers how it was in 2017. And one of my previous guests on one of my previous podcasts was the guy who established or founded the YouTube, one of the biggest YouTube channel in the Russian-speaking area, dedicated to cryptocurrencies. And he, knowing me, like interviewer said, okay, Eugene, I saw you came into crypto space, you began to interview crypto guys. Mm-hmm. Just go on my channel and start. We need a good interviewer to interview ISO project. When I started to, I would say, work professionally in the crypto space, doing a lot of interviews, promoting a lot of crypto events, and I came into events personally because as a music partner, you always have a free ticket to enter. Mm-hmm. I started to visit events. That time I lived in Russia, in St. Petersburg. I visit events in St. Petersburg and Moscow, the two biggest Russian cities. So I entered the crypto community. I had established my so-called personal brand. My face became recognizable. I did a good networking. Then 2018 came, and one of my partners from event manager teams said, "Oh, Eugene, you are a good interviewer. What do you think you should go to this on the stage like an MC?" I said, "Why? I don't see my MC. I like to walk online." Then I walked as MC on the stage, and then my career out of MC began in February 2018. And in 2018, I did up to 40 events in 6 countries, and I traveled as much by avia, by the planes,
airplane,
as I never did before in my life. It was this journey, physical journey, before the COVID,
right.
Right? And I realized that I'm doing what I love on the place, which is fitting so well in the current situation. So that's my Bitcoin story. Then I knew about saving Amos and Constantinople's. Then I knew about Bitcoin maximalism and realized that Bitcoin maximalism, perhaps the best, the honest ideological way to think. And I may call myself Bitcoin maximalist because Bitcoin is truly decentralized cryptocurrency in the world. I'm really excited about it. And that's one interesting detail. In 2018, I opened the Georgia country in my life. The Georgia is the former Soviet Republic. In Russian says Gruzia. It's the country between Black Sea and Caspian Sea. Georgia, Armenia, Azerbaijan. And I opened Georgia. I visited an event in June 2018. And I realized, guys, you have and Georgia is renowned like a very open country for business. It takes a 7th place in doing business 2020. It's a mining country. There's a lot of mining capacities over there. And I said, guys, you have a very beautiful country, Georgia. You should celebrate the Bitcoin anniversary, 10th anniversary in October 2018. And they said, okay, let's do it, Eugene. If you said, let's do it. and we did it, and now we are dreaming about making this celebration 30 and 31st of October every year, like a Georgian national crypto blockchain fest named Georgia Blockchain Fest 2020, and so on and so forth. That's how that's my story. And
I'm gonna have to come to that sometime.
Yes. You know, when I was celebrating New Year, I met the guy from New York, and we recorded a video, and I sent it to you from Tbilisi, Georgia. You know,
that was very cool. Yeah, that was very cool. Yeah. Yeah, I got a video from you on New Year's Eve, and I think we actually even had a short call. Yeah, so that was very cool. I'm definitely coming over there to check out your part of the world, and you'll be. I know you'll show me a good time too.
And I'm even considering to move there in Georgia to live a couple of years because the country has all the chances to become the sort of Switzerland on the not in Europe but on Caucasus. It's crypto-friendly country, very crypto-friendly country.
Very cool. So what is the sort of overall idea and sentiment around Bitcoin in the mainstream media in Russia and Belarus and Georgia and those areas, the former Soviet Union and stuff like that. What does the average person think? Are they thinking about Bitcoin yet?
Of course, the Bitcoin had received a good PR from all the governments on the Soviet, post-Soviet area. There is no government, no country in the world which had never given its position on Bitcoin. Every government told their position, and we saw that their position were quite different. Some countries, small and having no resources, they declared that they're very open to Bitcoin, and Belarus, for example, did that in October 2017 when the Belarusian dictator Alexander Lukashenko had passed a law decree about the development of the digital economy, and like one of the participants of my events said, that Belarus had hyped on Bitcoin. Let's restart again. Russia, for example, it behaved like China. They were trying and are trying and will be trying to ban cryptocurrency because a large country with actual dictatorship, actual Chekist or KGB or after communist ways of thinking, they want to control the territory, and Bitcoin is the main enemy. They try to regulate that. The situation in Russia is quite the same like in China. They are talking official discourses to how we will ban Bitcoin. And of course, people use Bitcoin. Of course, a lot of miners, for example, in Eastern Siberia, my city of my origin, Irkutsk, is actually the capital of Eastern Siberia. There is a lot of electricity capacities on Siberian rivers and a lot of miners. Eastern Siberia is quite a country of miners in Russia. So, of course, the good news are that our Russian-speaking community is up to 400 million people on the internet. They are quite homogenical. It doesn't matter what country you live. Only Baltic countries in Belarus, Ukraine, or Russia, or Georgia. Everyone understands each other. Everyone is speaking about. So we have a strong community and it's been growing. And we actually saying we don't fucking mind what these government think. Of course, it's very strange to expect from them to admit, because their task, the main task, is to control money, to control the power. Of course, every government in every big states will be speaking quite the same thing. And I know that the situation is in United States are not so different. Of course, CAC and so these monstrous governments are trying to regulate and ban. We do not pay attention. We do understand from the economical, theoretical, and practical point of view that idea of sound money, the time for this idea had come because the consequences of having a century of fiat money is so quite obvious for any clever man in this world. I wouldn't even imagine how a real man could ban Bitcoin in his own hand. First way to Bitcoin is unban it in your own hand. Try to realize what it is. Do not listen for this fucking propaganda from this fiat guys such as Jamie Dimon and Russian Central Bank and so on and so forth. That's the situation, and we're quite interesting by that.
That's a great explanation. Bitcoin is very much rooted in anti-control and personal freedom and sovereignty. So I think you just nailed that there. You mentioned a little bit that you are more of a Bitcoin maximalist. You know, I'm not a maximalist, but I was curious what you think. That's might be the only thing you and I disagree on in everything we've ever talked about. I think that there'll be more projects that have value, and I just wanted to ask you real quick about another Russian, Vitalik Buterin. He's obviously very well known around the world for founding the second largest cryptocurrency in Ethereum. How well known is he in Russia? I know he's not. He's not a native Russian. I think he was born in Canada, but his parents are Russian. I think they may have been born in Canada and lived there and moved, immigrated to to Canada. And he has met with Russian government officials. What is the narrative around Vitalik in that region?
I'm personally not familiar with Vitalik, but you mentioned very correct that he has a Russian origin. His parents immigrated from Russia. Vitalik was born in Canada, but his last name is quite Russian. And in 2017, Vitalik definitely came to Russia, and he was like a little god for our crypto community. All the crypto community hyping, were praying on Vitalik when he was staying on stage. We're asking stupid questions for him. And Vitalik, when you be married? And he said, the next question, please. So he was super tired. It was written on his face at times. But every Russian crypto community was hyping, making selfies with Vitalik and so on and so forth. Vitalik, I definitely understand that he realized that he was being used for hyping. Maybe he received some proposals of cooperation from the big Russian banks, but he's a clever guy. He realized that you shouldn't play with government in any crypto games because incentives are quite different from others. Right. That was his story. After that, he didn't visit Russia anymore. That's his story. But he was this time he was looking like a god, and he didn't like that situation. He came to educate, to learn,
right?
And trapped into being such an angel or apostle or god for.
Yeah, they sort of held him up. I saw a documentary. They chauffeured him around in very expensive Mercedes and things like that, and they wanted to make a big deal about it. I saw that's why
I don't know if he had such a similar story in any other country, perhaps no, just because of but due to Vitalik, the world crypto community had known that Russia, and this is definitely correct, because perhaps up to 1/3 of all the projects in crypto community and crypto world are established or had been established by the IT and programmers with a Russian background. Russian programming school, due to Russian Soviet education in mathematics, physics, is quite, it's very well. And even in this podcast with Lex Friedman, right, I suggest me to watch, it's very good shown that the Russian school because of Russian Soviet Union was the main task of Soviet Union was to be against United States in the so-called Cold War. And the nuclear weapon developing required lots of mathematicians, lots of physicists. And the physicist and mathematician school, high school in Russia, was perhaps one of the best schools in the world. It competed with the United States, and maybe in some periods of 20th century, it was the best high school in physics and mathematics in the world. That's why the majority of grad physicians and mathematicians emigrated to the United States, because the Soviet Union was quite good in education, was very worst with monetization of their knowledge.
Yeah, for a long time, and you're talking about back to the Cold War era, and you had Bobby Fischer playing Boris Spassky and things like that. Russians are very interested in intellectual, that sort of thing, like chess and mathematics and things like that. So I definitely know where you're coming from. Yeah, we didn't get to talk too much about that podcast. I sent you a podcast of Lex Friedman. He and his father live in the United States now, but his father immigrated to the U.S. from Russia. What did you find interesting about that podcast?
This podcast, thank you again for this quite interesting story. This podcast was interesting for me for a couple of months. First of all, these are son and dad. They are coming exactly from Soviet Union, exactly from the Ukraine. Right now, it is independent country between under Belarus. That's big country, and one of the interesting things is right now the Ukrainian programmers are one of the most skilled in the world right now. And they founded a good number of crypto startups. So different, I know the different United States founders are paying attention on Ukrainian programmers, but let's go further. And they were talking about his dad's Soviet past, because they were Jewish. It was the propaganda against Jewish. I don't know how to say the English word. The word anti-Semitism, and anti-Semitism was especially very spread on Ukraine. Jewish needed to compete very lot with Soviet students. That's why they tried to be the best students in mathematics and physics, and they had won, and that's why they became the great physicians, the great specialists, and that's why they had potential to immigrate to the country of freedom like the US was for our Soviet people in the beginning of the 90s when they emigrated a lot. It was another story, like they Russian people, they were talking English, feeling accent. I did understand how they think because they are Soviet people, especially his dad. And I'm having Soviet past. I really understand what he thinks, how he speaks, how he translates his Russian words in English and speaks to his son. They're emotional. During the podcast, they were drinking whiskey, and in the end of the podcast, this podcast, they took the Russian vodka, and I realized it was vodka from very past. Perhaps he kept this vodka for 25 years, or even more than 30 years.
Yeah, it was a very old bottle. Yeah.
Yes, very old bottle. Oh, it was quite emotional. It was very fascinating with looking on this podcast, listening to their story. Where for every Russian guy who understands English, I definitely recommend to listen to this fascinating story about the son and dad. Yes, that story.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. We got to get Lex Fridman doing something about Bitcoin. He has a pretty big audience. He can probably do a nice conversion for us and get some more people into sound money. So let's get back onto Bitcoin. Where do you see Bitcoin going this decade? Like, not really, you and I aren't moon boys or whatever. We don't talk about price nonstop, but it's important. But what do you see, like, adoption wise? What do you think? What sort of adoption are we going to get? Is it going to be, are older people going to use it when they go to the store, or is it going to be like a store of value? What do you think? Will it be digital gold only, or is it going to be used in commerce?
It's a good question. And recently I began to think about the word adoption, that why are we talking about adoption? Do we need adoption at all? Looking on the guys from crypto community, I've already known, they are typical, well-educated, freedom-oriented, and independent guys. They are like a 1 or 2% top of people, like open-minded, entrepreneurial oriented. And the majority of population all over the world are not the same. They are, I don't have enough English words, but now crypto community all over the world accumulates the super top elite, I would say elite guys, because of their open mind and thinking. And that's why they do understand how Bitcoin works. Why do we need sound money? That's a big hope, and that's a big, hope for adoption. I think adoption, if it would have come after maybe 10 or 15 years, when the interfaces would have been so simple for any stupid average man. Like history of the internet. In the end of 1990s, the internet was so difficult. And of course, we trying to connect with it. We didn't even think about TCP IP protocols, about layers and so on and so forth. We interested how to chat, how to watch porn on the internet, how to post on the forums and so on and so forth. Simple tasks. And when interfaces and simple. And right now in crypto community, we are trying to deep dive into technical aspects. We're trying to read Andrew Antonopoulos' books, Mastering Bitcoin, how the unspent transaction output works, hashes, and so on. So huge technical information. The majority of people, they don't need to even to touch this information. And I very hope that in 10 or 15 years, we, crypto community, will develop such a simple interfaces, which will not require a technical knowledge. Of course, they will be requiring such general knowledge like basics of Austrian economics, I think, the basic of personal responsibility, deep distinguishing of fiat centralized paradigm and decentralized non-fiat paradigm. It requires a couple, shifting in minds, and it will inevitably happen, and we will help, and we will be working on that. That is mass adoption. Will it be mass or not mass? Of course, we see it every year. Bitcoin digits, Bitcoin parameters are growing. The number of accounts, wallets, transactions are growing, and that's good. That's a simple process of developing. The ROM wasn't built in any day. The internet wasn't built in 1 year. It took up to 30 years for building internet. Like we know, this internet, of course, is damaged by centralized structure. Now, Web 3.0 or Web 3 or free web is built on iOS. That's the development process, and I'm very happy I'm in with my background of the Austrian economics.
Absolutely.
I'm totally happy with that.
I love how you put that too. How there's this Austrian school Bitcoin, which many Bitcoiners are in, and then that paradigm, and then you've got this statism, big government, anti-freedom, pro-war, anti-free market paradigm. Yeah, you nailed that. I totally agree with everything you just said there. What's the rest of 2020 look like for you? I know you and I are going to be speaking a lot. I know you emceed Liberland, their conference. I think it was their anniversary event a few months, maybe 2 months ago or something like that. Do you want to tell us real quick about that, and then what the rest of 2020 looks like for you, what you're up to?
That's a good question. I will divide it into questions about Liberland. First of all, we've been familiar with Vitiedlichka, the president of Liberland, since the Jeff Berwick done the podcast with him. Then we met with him as he was a speaker. I was an MC at a couple of events in Russia, in St. Petersburg, and Moscow. Then we met in Singapore. So we are familiar very well in real life. This year, they were celebrating the 5th anniversary of Liberland. Liberland was established in April 2015. He invited me to be in as MC, and they even set me as the ambassador of Liberland in Belarus, and my face with a bow tie is even published in Liberland brochure. So if you will find me, that's the truth. I'm the ambassador of Liberland in Belarus. So
very cool. Very cool.
Yes, representative or ambassador. Yeah. Concerning the rest of 2020, I would say that 2020 had actually shown for all the humanity that the world, the technologies are well prepared for online working. We didn't realize that before, and then we came into the COVID era, we realized that the technologies are ready. Just take and use them. Of course, we had Zoom events explosion, online events explosion, and I definitely sure that I will have a lot of online work till the end of 2020, and in the next years, this paradigm shift had become, the world will have never be the same in this. I hope I will do a lot of good content. My English presence in world internet had widespread a lot due to our transatlantic podcast. Thanks again for this proposal. Due to different podcasts for this moment, I'm participating in 2 podcasts with American guys. First of you is of R.L. Bryer, and the second is of Emcee, Bitcoin Master podcast. He's from LA. He founded me on the Belarus. He said, Eugene, you're the only guy from Belarus who are known as a crypto guy on the internet. I said, really? Let it be. I would say some couple of things what's going on in Belarus. So my plans are very huge. And I have already said that I plan to move to Georgia, to live in Georgia country. I had a lot of plans in this country because the political situation in Russia and Belarus, these are 2 countries I am citizen of. I have 2 passports. That they are quite similar countries in the degrading political situation. In Russia, the Putin is dictator. It violated constitution endlessly. The Lukashenko, right now we have a so-called presidential election. I've been already telling this in the latest episodes, and we don't even know how the situation will be. We understand the situation will be degrading till the end. So the political situation is very, very bad, and I predict the next level of moving people, clever people from Russia and Belarus out of the countries. But I don't care. I'm in right way, in right place. I'm doing what I love. I'm connecting with all the world. I'm talking about the world. I'm doing content on 2 languages, Russian and English, all over the world. And I'm spreading a message. My persistence in this space is mostly ideological. Mm-hmm. I'm not here for money. I have one big reason. I understand how the world works from the Austrian Economics position. And I really understand that Bitcoin, first time in human history, is able to return sound money to humanity. And I not even want to be the witness of this process. I want to influence on that and to help this process be and have reached this goals. Quite interesting journey. I don't even know how it will be finished, but it's going to be a very interesting journey for next 21 years. Of course, I'm totally assured of that.
Yeah, we've been fortunate. I feel like you feel the same way. I've met some of my best friends like you over the internet talking about Austrian economics and Bitcoin. We get to share our passions and love for freedom. It's an awesome thing to watch happen. And I think other people have come into Bitcoin because not only they see they see the potential in becoming wealthy, and that's not everything like you said, but they also get a vibe of freedom. They understand this is about freedom. So and then they start studying the Austrian school, and that obviously makes us happy. Another thing I wanted to mention is you mentioned Zoom. That was really cool because we are in this workplace online time where you can't go out with the virus, and I don't want to talk about the virus. I'm sick of hearing about it, but you know what? You nailed that. Also, I was looking at the stock price for Zoom yesterday, and I think it was like $70 before. I don't get into stocks, but $70 before the event, the pandemic or whatever, and now it's over 250 or something like that, somewhere in that range. So people are seeing value in moving their work online. You hit a home run on that one too. I just have one more question for you. This is how I wrap up every show. I think we've talked about this throughout the show, but what does Bitcoin mean to you?
Sound money first. The principles of Austrian economics in action. First of all, humanity has received a practical way to implement the good, right theoretical ideas of free market and sound money. Bitcoins, and third thing I would have said that it means grave digger or funeral master for government fiat banking fucking system.
Yes. Great way to end the show right there with another one. Another great soundbite to put out there. I appreciate you coming on the show today, sir. Do you want to tell people where else they can find you? I know they can find you at cryptomc.com. Where else would you like to send people if they want to look at your work or find you on social media or LinkedIn or anything like that?
Yeah, I would suggest to visit my site. It's written on the Crypto Emcee. CRYPTOEMCEE.com and find all my contacts in the footer of the website, all my contacts, all my phones and messages and so forth. It's very simple to find me. Or just find it on the Google search, Eugene, Belarus, crypto. Perhaps I will be on the first 10 results of.
He'll be the first. He'll be the first 200. He'll be all of the first 5 or 10 pages probably. So yeah, episode 25 in the books now. Mr. Eugene Romanenko, thank you for your time today. Hang on one second, and I'll say goodbye to you. I know you and I will be talking to each other very soon for another transatlantic crypto podcast when we get back to that. Thanks again.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for watching. Stay Bitcoin, stay in Austrian Economics. Bye.